Well, thanks for joining us today. For those of you that haven't been to one of our classes yet, I'm Rachel and this is Carly, and we're from Zell, which is an affiliate of Union Bank. And this morning we're going to talk a little bit about a healthy breakfast. Right now at Concordia, you're doing a healthy breakfast challenge. How many are participating in that, tracking that you're eating breakfast every day? Great. Good. Make sure to turn those sheets into Connie at the end of the month. And you can still get those heart health sheets in too if you did that challenge as well. Turn them into HR. And we're doing a drawing for that as well. You get a gift card for participating. So Carly's going to start us off by going through the quiz answers, and we do have a few prizes. We'll see how many we got right.
All right, so number one, how many of Americans eat a daily breakfast? The answer is D, 54%. Yep, an estimated 54% of adults younger than 55 eat breakfast every day. The older we are, the more likely we are to eat breakfast. And while only 54% of adults under 55 eat breakfast, 83% of seniors do. So nice little fun fact for you. So number two, what percentage of teens regularly skip breakfast? Who thinks they know what the answer is? Anyone?
D.
The answer is C, 50 to 75%.
I'm a loser.
So more than half of adolescent males regularly skip breakfast, and adolescent girls have an even worse record. So about 50 to 75% of teens. So number three, which of the following popular fast food breakfast options have the fewest calories? Anyone have an idea? A. Yep, the answer is correct. A. One Egg McMuffin has 300 calories in it. All right. Number four, what is the most popular breakfast food among American adults? Any ideas?
B. Probably B.
The answer is A, cold cereal. And cold cereal you have to watch out for. A lot of them have a lot of sugar in it and they don't have whole grains in there. So when you are trying to decide what kind of cereal you are looking for, look on the ingredients. The number one ingredient should be whole grains. So a little tip for you there.
But isn't it the sugar that gets you going?
Yes, but only for a very short while, then you start to crash.
That's why at 10 o'clock you have a snack.
Candy bar.
All right, number five, fact or fiction, eating breakfast helps you lose weight.
Fact.
Fact, correct. It says multiple studies have shown that eating a healthy breakfast or any breakfast at all when compared to skipping a meal may help people lose weight and keep off the weight. And the reason for that is if a lot of people are like, I don't have time for breakfast in the morning, or I'm not hungry in the morning before you leave for work, so I'm just not going to eat, I'm going to wait till lunch. Well, when that happens, you usually don't have quite as much energy, but also when you're waiting till lunch, you get really hungry, so then you end up eating even more than you would have if you would have ate breakfast. So that's something to keep in mind there. So number six, what percentage of American adults have eaten cold pizza for breakfast? Any idea?
C.
The answer is actually B, 39%.
That give us more credit.
Number seven, fact or fiction, all oatmeal is nutritionally the same.
Fiction.
Correct. Steel-cut oats are a great source of whole grains and have shown to be beneficial in preventing heart disease, certain cancers, and type 2 diabetes, while also reducing cholesterol levels and the risk of hypertension. Where the instant oatmeal is also whole grain, but it has been processed a lot more, so it doesn't have quite the same nutritional benefits as the steel-cut oats.
Carly, I have a question. What
Yes.
about gluten-free oatmeal?
Gluten-free oatmeal.
Yeah.
Just like the nutritional value, or is there?
Yeah, what might be the difference between the two?
The difference is actually on regular oatmeal, they put a little bit of flour in there so it doesn't stick as much. That's what I've heard. So with the gluten-free oats, they take out that flour, so for gluten intolerant people, they can have it. Same thing, they're oats, and the steel cut oats, you can get them gluten-free.
Okay.
Same benefit.
Okay.
oats really are gluten-free. They don't
Yeah.
have the flour
It's
on them.
that flour.
It's the flour they put around the oat.
Yeah, the oats themselves are gluten-free, but yet the flour that's on them.
And you wouldn't know that. They don't really list it, but they do coat it with that.
Okay, you say steel cut oats. Am I the only one that doesn't know what steel cut means?
You can usually find them in the health food section.
Okay,
So just a different style,
so
less
not my Quaker
processed.
oats, that's not good.
I'm not sure if Quaker might have a steel cut version. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
they do. They do take a lot longer to cook, where the instant oatmeal takes a couple minutes in the microwave. I mean,
But
Steel
Quaker
cut.
has a long cooking, like a whole,
I think that one is the steel cut. I'm pretty sure, like the one in the big tin.
yeah,
Yeah.
the old fashioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those
So
ones.
steel cut means what?
They're not as processed. Where the instant oatmeal ones, they cut up the oats a lot more, so they cook a lot faster. Where the steel cut, they don't cut them nearly as much.
So you've got some more fiber there. It's going to
Okay.
take a little bit longer to digest, keep you fuller a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Number 8, which of the following is not a common breakfast food in Japan? Anyone might know this one.
Yogurt.
It is actually kimchi. It is, what it is a spicy fermented cabbage dish that's
Oh,
popular.
yeah, don't need that.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah,
So-
so I learned something on that one too.
Japanese to
Okay, number 9, who is typically credited with introducing a donut to the world?
Probably the Americans.
Probably Dutch.
It's actually the Dutch. B. All right, number 10. When did the school breakfast program become a permanent program in schools across America?
82.
It says the school breakfast program began an experimental program in 1966 and became a permanent public schools and nonprofit child care in 1975.
Oh, there's definitely one.
So who got them all right? Anyone?
Oh,
That's pretty tricky.
Oh yeah, those are some hard questions.
I know. I failed.
I'm a loser.
All right, how many did we get right?
Anyone get 9?
Let's start down lower.
Way down, how about 8?
Oh,
Yay!
okay. Would you like
Janet did.
a blender bottle? You can put a smoothie in here, or something to bring your eggs in to work. You can microwave your eggs.
I'll take the blender bottle.
Great. All right.
That's nice.
All right, keep going, Carly.
All right, who got 7? Anyone?
I'm a loser.
All right, well, you get a choice between the microwave egg or the microwave egg. Which one would you like? All right, anyone got 6 correct? All right.
5?
No,
I got
you
you.
got 6.
All right. Thank you for taking our quiz. All right, so if you want to take out your handouts now, we'll go through some information about eating breakfast here. Then we'll go through our recipes and what we prepared for you today. Okay, so you might have seen this come out in the email. Why is it important to eat breakfast? It gives you a more nutritionally complete diet, high in nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. Improves physical and cognitive performance. This is really important. We'll talk about this for your families as well, for students and children, and especially for you as teachers here as well. And it really helps in weight loss and weight maintenance, as Carly mentioned before. Lowers cholesterol as well. And if you want to take notes, you can. We did give you the slides today. This is a little bit hard to read. Sorry, a lot of good information on here. So this is important for students since we're at a university here. Students who eat breakfast have higher test scores than students who skip the morning meal. They have improved grades, increased concentration, and also helps them with weight maintenance as well. So it's really important to feed your child a good, nutritious breakfast before they go to school. It's going to help them.
All right, so we have the components of breakfast. So these are the things you want to think about when you're eating breakfast. So we want to have carbohydrates, protein, fiber, and calories. So for the carbohydrates, I'm talking the whole grains, things like that help you, that have a lot of fiber in them, help you stay full longer. The protein, eggs, tofu, if you don't eat meat, any lean protein, chicken, turkey, things like that. And you want calories, and we'll talk about how many calories you should have for breakfast here in a couple slides here.
And as she mentioned with the whole grains before, you want 100% whole grain. You'll see a lot of cereals like General Mills that will say, oh, contains whole grain in here, but look at the ingredient list and where do the whole grains fall? You might see like 50 different ingredients in your cereal box, and it might be closer to the end, have a lot of sugar in there as well. So we're talking 100% whole grain bread, oatmeal is a whole grain, other whole grains not necessarily for breakfast, well, barley and bulgur and popcorn, that's not really a breakfast thing, but that's a whole grain too. So
And
as long as we're
quinoa.
not quinoa, as long as we're not loading it with the butter and the salt, that's a whole grain. Okay.
All right, so this is the slide I'm talking about for the calories for breakfast. How many do you need? So it's very simple. If you don't know how many calories you should be having in a day, a really good way is to take your weight and add a 0 to it. And that's roughly how many calories you should have in a day. So if you weigh 140 pounds, add a 0, 1,400 calories. Now if you weigh 120 pounds or less, no matter what, you want to have at least 1,200 calories in a day. So even if you weigh 110 pounds, you still want the 1,200 in a day. And that's different if you are physically active, you're working out a lot, you're going to want to eat more calories. But this is just in general. So if you weigh 140 pounds, I'll be eating 1,400 calories. So for breakfast, I want my breakfast to be about 350 calories.
At least that.
Yes.
Breakfast is really the most important meal of the day, so I like to have breakfast be my biggest meal. And really, when we're thinking about weight loss and weight maintenance, if we're having a huge supper before we go to bed and we're letting that food sit in our stomachs, that adds to weight gain. So having that really big breakfast and the meals kind of go down from there. Lunch is a little bit smaller, dinner is probably the lightest meal that we should be having. Okay, if you want to look at your handout, there's a nice little chart here showing you the importance of eating a really balanced breakfast. So we want to make sure that we have a good ratio of carbohydrates to protein here, so we can make sure that we're full throughout the morning. And if you want to read through these different points here, it's kind of hard to see up on the screen. Hopefully you can see that on your handout. It's actually it's on the same handout as your recipes. So if you can see this handout here, it's got the calorie chart. So when we have a breakfast that's full of carbohydrates, so maybe we're having some bread and we're having a piece of fruit, that's a lot of carbohydrates and sugar, and we're missing protein in there. So we're not going to be as full. There's a lot of sugar. It's going to spike our glycemic index high in the morning. So blood sugar is going and insulin is being released. That's what I mean by that. And when you skip breakfast, your blood sugar is dropping lower. So too many carbs, it's increasing. Not having breakfast, it's decreasing. So you're losing energy. And then like Carly said, later you might make a poor decision because you're so hungry. You might choose something that's high in sugar because, remember, it dropped lower because you didn't have anything to eat. So you're making unhealthy decisions. And that's why it's important to really have a good breakfast. It really sets the mood for the day. You'll help start making good choices throughout the day. You start with a good, healthy breakfast. So what we really want to do is to have this balanced protein-based breakfast. So if we're going to have our whole grain bread, maybe we throw like an egg on the side, or we have some peanut butter with that, something to make it more balanced. Keep the insulin levels normal throughout the day. So that's what you're seeing with this chart here. It's not fluctuating a lot. And just some more charts to show you what happens here. And there's a little bit of a description. So with those high sugary, like the donuts and the processed food, it'll fill you up quick and it tastes good, but then 30 minutes to an hour later, you're hungry again. Whereas if you chose a bowl of oatmeal, that was a little bit more satisfying and it would keep you till lunchtime. So just different types of foods here. Make sure you have the lean meats, the fishes. Go back here. Show you what I'm talking about here. The egg whites. I'm vegetarian, I do a lot of tofu, so we'll talk about some alterations to these meals that we made for you today, these recipes. So tofu, beans, other vegetarian protein sources. And you can also do soy milk or almond milk. Those actually, people are like, well, where are you going to get your calcium and your nutrients? You actually get more in those because they're even more fortified than the regular dairy products. So that's a good option too, to have the soy or the almond milk. And just making sure you have those complex carbohydrates, protein, and fiber. So that's a really balanced breakfast, and it's going to keep you full for 3 hours or longer. That's what the chart is saying here.
Hey, Rachel, one of the things that we found out just recently is that almond milk, and I don't know about soy milk, but almond milk does not have, has 1 gram of protein, where your regular milk is going to have a lot more protein in it. So that was kind of something we discovered. We thought we were getting just as much protein in our almond milk for some reason.
Yeah, you have to really read the labels, and you'll just kind of have to see different brands. Some of the almond milk, they aren't fortified either, so
Yeah.
that's another thing to be careful of. The soy milk, generally, I've seen about 7 grams of protein in 1 cup. So depending on which brand you buy, just kind of read the label and see, but they're not all the same, that's for sure.
Yeah, soy milk does have more protein than the almond milk does.
You just kind of have to see what kind you like too. There's hemp milk, there's rice milk, just what flavor and taste you like best. I prefer the soy. Okay, so another little quiz here for you, and hopefully you don't eat some of these choices we're putting on the screen here. I'm going to go through some of the worst choices that you can make when you go out for breakfast. So McDonald's, obviously, the big breakfast with hot cakes, 1,090 calories, 56 grams of fat, 19 grams of saturated fat. So for that meal there, and that's probably not going to keep you full for very long because that's no whole grains there. Okay, so a better choice we can make.
All right, so this was, I think, the one on our quiz. A better choice would be the Egg McMuffin. It only has 300 calories, and you can make it even a little lower in calories by taking off that piece of cheese. The cheese is about 70 calories right there in just 1 slice. So this is a little bit better choice. I mean, I know we're all in a hurry, and sometimes we don't have time to eat breakfast at home, so it's just easier to go out, but there's definitely healthier options even at fast food restaurants.
And you'll see with all these choices today, this isn't balanced by itself. Can you tell me what we might want to add to this sandwich to make it a more balanced breakfast? Any ideas? Fruit, good, some fiber in there. It doesn't really look like it's a whole grain muffin, so we don't have any the whole grains in there either. It's got some protein, but while it's low in calories, it's probably not the best breakfast choice. Okay, another worse one, the double croissant with double sausage at Burger King. 700 calories, 49 grams of fat, 18 grams of saturated fat, 1,510 milligrams of sodium. And that's pretty much what you need in 1 day for sodium. So I've heard recommendations between 1,500 to 2,400 milligrams of sodium per day. So you're getting that in 1 meal. And that's a lot of fat too. Okay, a better choice.
It would be the egg and cheese croissant. So it's very similar to the McDonald's choice, just the egg and cheese, rather than having the bacon or the couple pieces of cheese, just having the 1 piece. This one only has 320 calories. It still has 690 milligrams of sodium. So no matter what, really fast food, if you are concerned about blood pressure, a lot of things are really high in sodium, so just be careful of that, even if it is low in calories.
Okay, another worse one. I don't know if we have Jack in the Box out here. I think this is more West Coast. The steak and egg burrito. And probably any of your breakfast burritos that I don't know where we go here in Nebraska. I'm not from Nebraska originally, but Taco Inn maybe, or where do we get burritos here?
Yes.
Oh, you have them though.
And McDonald's has them too.
I'm guessing if we look at the nutritional information, it's probably very similar. So just know that. Be careful about that. Better bet, and again, we're still looking at some white bread here.
Yeah, it's a little bit better, 283 calories, but like Rachel said, the white bread not being a balanced meal. So even if you do go out, maybe have a glass of milk with it, get some fruit with it. I know McDonald's, I think they have like a fruit and yogurt parfait and things like that. So just kind of trying to get the healthier options if you need to eat out.
And a lot of these places, if you check online, you'll see all of their nutritional information. So it's good to plan ahead sometimes. All right, another bad one. Do we have Carl Jr.'s out here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Breakfast burger here. You can see there's a whole lot of bad things on there. We got tater tots, eggs, bacon, cheese, sausage.
That's huge.
It's
I thought that was
actually
gonna
what
be a
it's saying
burger.
here.
I did not like
So
it.
it's probably good we don't have Carl Jr. It says just skip it all together because every choice on their menu is just not good for breakfast. So no Carl Jr.'s. Okay. I heard we're getting some Dunkin' Donuts in the area. So another bad choice here, the sausage, egg, and cheese croissant, 700 calories. If we're looking at that calorie chart, we have about 350 to 400 for breakfast. We just done 2 meals with our breakfast, so we have to be careful. Okay, better bet.
Would be their egg and cheese on English muffin, coming in at about 320 calories, so a little bit better there. But still, the high in fat, 15 grams there, 5 grams of saturated fat. It does have 14 grams of protein in, so that's helpful. It will help you stay full longer. You still have to watch the fat and the 820 milligrams of sodium.
Okay, Starbucks. Anyone go to Starbucks in the morning?
Yes. I wish it were here.
So we need to be staying away from some of these sugary treats that you might think is a healthier option, like a scone. It packs a lot of calories, fat, and sugar as well. So muffins as well, they have a lot of fat in them. So just really be careful. But Starbucks does have some good options, better options.
This spinach and feta breakfast wrap comes in at about 290 calories. And they also have oatmeal, which is about 140 calories. Or their Greek yogurt parfait that comes in at about 300 calories.
And I tried the oatmeal, it's really good, really healthy. They have some dried fruit you can put in there too. So that's a good option. Okay, so here's a couple drinks that I found. Cafe Mocha, if we're getting the venti, their largest size here, and this probably goes for scooters too. I'm guessing it's along the same lines. So you see how many calories, grams of fat in there. We get a little bit of fiber and protein, so that's not all bad. But there's a lot of sugar as well, so we have to be careful. And then if we're looking at that Frappuccino, we get the large size, 800 calories, 25 grams of fat, so really be careful. So
The carbs. Where's the protein coming from? No.
yeah, there's milk in there, yeah. Okay, so some better options, we'll take it down 2 sizes to the tall size, about this big. You can make it light, so we're saying that there's sugar-free syrup you could do, there's the light skim milk or soy milk you can do there, and take off the whip, and that would be a good way to reduce the calories in your drink. Okay, Subway, I know there's a Subway in town. Anyone tried this particular sandwich?
Oh, I had it.
Okay.
Sorry,
hopefully-
I haven't.
Hopefully it tastes good.
It is good. It tastes good. I only ate half of it.
If you look here.
Confessions of a
Okay.
Subway.
This is actually not the worst thing we have on our slideshow today.
Okay.
So Subway does a pretty good job, but there's ways to still make it even better. So 470 calories for the sandwich, 17 grams of fat. A lot of sodium still, 1,500 milligrams of sodium. So that's where they get you, which you wouldn't really know there's that much sodium in there. Okay, so here's a better option at Subway.
We have the egg white and cheese sandwich coming in at about 150 calories, only 3.5 grams of fat, 12 grams of protein. It is a little lower on the sodium, 480 milligrams and 5 grams of fiber.
On the lightweight muffin, so there's a better choice for you.
And
Subway does have those other choices of bread.
And it's really good too for Subway. You can add all those fresh vegetables on there as well to help make it a little more of a balanced meal.
All right. Okay, so here's some tips on how you can make a quick, healthy breakfast. So we're going to pick 2 to 3 food groups, including at least one item from each of the following groups. So a bread or grain, and we're talking the whole grains like we mentioned before. Whole grain bread, oatmeal, that sort of thing. We're going to choose a milk product, or it can be a soy or a milk substitute. It doesn't have to be milk if you're lactose intolerant. And then a fruit or vegetable. So you don't always have to have fruit for breakfast. You can make an omelet or something like that. You can also pick up portable items ahead of time to save you some time in the morning. So you could buy fruit, the low-fat granola, and more yogurt as well. When we talk about yogurt, you can look for the Greek style. It's got more protein in there. And if you don't do the sugar sweet and the fruit sweeten, it takes down that sugar, obviously, a lot. So you could add your own fruit to that to sweeten it up, or put a little bit of honey in it. So go for the plain Greek yogurt. Breakfast bars. Anyone take a breakfast bar to work, put in your purse and go? Anyone do Nutri-Grain?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna pick on you again.
Oh, man, am I just not, okay.
Okay.
Going to the grocery store tonight, I guess.
And I've had Nutri-Grain too. I mean, it says whole grains on there. It's got your fruit in there, so you think it's a good option. But if you read the label of the Nutri-Grain bar, there's like 100 different ingredients. Maybe just count them and read through them. And a lot of them you can't pronounce. The whole grains and sugar, I mean, it's all processed too. So some better options for a breakfast bar. Has anyone heard of a Lara bar? No? You can find that in the health food section. You can pronounce every ingredient. There's about 4 ingredients in those bars. You're gonna have dates, nuts, some sort of fruit. They even have some little chocolate chips in them sometimes, but that's it. And they're really delicious. So Lara bar or a Kind bar, probably heard of the Kind bars. They have them at a lot of different places. They have your nuts and your maybe some coconut or just honey, natural sweeteners. So those are really great for you. You can pronounce all the ingredients, and you're not going to have about 100 ingredients in your bar. And again, your Nutri-Grain, not a whole grain, not going to keep you full for very long. So choose one of these other types of bars, and that would be better. Okay. So replacing that morning cup of coffee with a glass of orange juice or milk, give you a little bit of protein. Not for everyone. Coffee's not all bad if you have something else for breakfast too. Obviously it's got the caffeine, so we have to be careful about how much caffeine we have every day. You can make your coffee healthier, as we talked about, so that's not a bad option. Like I said, an omelet, an omelet here, getting up 15 minutes earlier, that's really not a lot of extra time to budget into your day to make your healthy breakfast. Some of the things we made for you today, the muffins, you can make those ahead of time, you can freeze them. There's a lot of things you can make ahead of time. And just planning ahead, preparing your meals ahead of time, so you can just grab and go to work. Okay, here's some good breakfast choices.
Great, and first I just wanted to kind of go off of Rachel when she was talking about the ingredients list on food labels. The less ingredients, the better. That means kind of less processed it is, the more nutrients are in there. So if you're getting into the ingredients that have 10, 15, 20, and more ingredients, you probably don't want to go use those, especially they have a lot of names you can't pronounce, have a lot of preservatives, artificial preservatives in them. So sticking to the ingredients, ideally would be 5 or less. Those are going to be your most whole foods, things like that. But back to our best breakfast choices here. I'm not going to go through everything because you'll have that on your sheet there. But some great protein options are the cottage cheese, peanut butter, beans, eggs, yogurt. I like to use the Greek yogurt. It has a lot more protein in it. With any yogurt, you do have, when it already has a fruit in it or it's already sweetened, it does have a lot of sugar in it. So we're using this Greek yogurt for the smoothies that I'll show you about earlier. It is just the regular, doesn't have any sweeteners in it, and it has 9 grams of sugar per serving rather than I think 20 or so. So just be aware of that, and you can, if you don't like plain yogurt, a lot of people don't, it doesn't have a whole lot of flavor to it, you can add your own berries to it, add a little bit of honey, so you know how much is going in there, and you can modify it a little bit so it doesn't have to have as much sugar in there. You can have milk, and it can be the dairy milk, it can be the soy milk or almond milk, like Rachel was talking about. Protein powders. You can get protein powders that don't have sugar added to it. I would pick that over the ones that have a lot of sugar added to it. Tofu and vegetables. And for your carbohydrate choices, when you're looking on your label, you want to have at least 3 grams of protein fiber, 5 grams of protein, and less than 10 grams of sugar. So a lot of cereals, even if sugar is not the first ingredient, a lot of times it's the second. You probably don't want to pick those. I would pick the Cheerios, things like that that don't have a lot of sugar in them.
Kashi's a good brand. You've probably seen that in the grocery store. That's a better brand too. Again, just look at the sugar count in that.
And for eggs, they're great. They have a lot of protein in them. I know a lot of people were worried about cholesterol, and if you have high cholesterol, you don't want to eat eggs. The truth is, dietary cholesterol doesn't have a whole lot to do with blood cholesterol. It affects it a little bit, but not a whole lot. It's really the saturated fats that affect your cholesterol. So I'm not saying go eat 1 million eggs, but having a couple eggs a week is not going to hurt. They are really high in protein. It has 20% of your protein in 2 eggs that you need in a day. Has a whole lot of other nutrients in them. So I wouldn't throw eggs out the window because you're scared of the cholesterol that is in it. It does have a lot of good cholesterol in it as well. Yes.
I guess my question though, Carly, is people say, well, you can have a couple eggs a week. I think in my family, at least, we eat eggs every day.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still okay? I mean, I think that's.
Yeah, it depends on the person. If you don't have to worry about your cholesterol, because they do have some saturated fat in them, so that's the part I would be worried about. But if you're not worried about your cholesterol or anything like that for the saturated fat, it's okay to have 1 or 2 a day, I'd say. But I would recommend just probably 3 or 4 a week, probably.
And then you can also do the egg white option too.
Yeah, egg whites are great. They don't have quite as much protein in them, but they're still a really great alternative, and they have a lot less calories in them.
And I have a secondary question, and that is on sugar. And I see over the counter now you can buy, different types of sweeteners, and I see a new one called monk fruit.
I haven't heard of that one yet.
Sorry, I haven't heard of that one. That must
It
be
comes,
really new.
yeah, it's supposed to be all natural, and I was just wondering what it was.
Did it say what kind? Is it the fructose from?
It's monk fruit that it comes from, so.
Interesting.
It's a new sweetener. I mean, you can buy it at Walmart. It's next to all of the other types of sugars out there.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I have to look into that one. That's something new. I haven't heard of that. I mean, I've heard of the agave and the honey
Right.
and some other
But
choices.
they
too,
even
but
said agave isn't that great for you. It's just about like corn syrup, they said.
it's all processed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, sugar is sugar. It's going to be all processed the same. So you just have to be careful. Even if it is sugar from honey, honey is pretty sweet, so you don't have to use quite as much. It's kind of things like that, but it still is going to be processed the same. So you just have to be careful just trying to use less sugar in general.
There is a beet sugar though that's supposed to be lower glycemic diet, and I think.
And the agave is low glycemic too, so depending on your needs, if you're diabetic, those are better options.
How many grams of sugar do they say a day, that person?
Grams of sugar.
Ew. I'm trying to think, because I know it's different there's always the exceptions.
Yeah.
Well, carbohydrates and sugar is kind of lumped into that too. It's supposed to be about 55 to 60% of your diet.
Okay.
Protein about 12 to 15.
Okay.
Okay, fat is 30% or less. Saturated fat is 10% or less. So it's kind of in there. Just really be careful. Fruit is really good for you. I wouldn't really limit my intake of fruit unless you were worried about that. Having a lot of sugar, because eating a lot of fruit, like she said, it's still sugar, can cause some weight gain. So we're trying to have a balance in our diet. It's still great for you. You got fiber as well. So it's the processed kinds of sugar we want to stay away from. Okay, so we're going to go through what we made for you today. We're going to start off with our smoothie, and we'll pass out some samples to you as Carly's blended it here.
All right, so the great thing about smoothies, they don't have to be exact for it to turn out really great. You can make a lot of different recipes with it, a lot of different alterations. Today what we're going to do is our rockin' smoothie here. It has a lot of different fruit in it. How I talked about before, we are going to be using the plain Greek yogurt, so it doesn't add a whole lot of extra sugar to it. So I'm going to start just with our liquid ingredients here.
This is on your recipe sheet if you want to flip there and just follow along.
I'm gonna add some orange juice here.
Okay, so we have a cup of that, the plain yogurt added in, and we have a whole banana.
And then for the banana, you can rip it up or cut it up into little pieces if you want to help blend it up a little bit more. So we'll throw that in there. And then, has anyone ever used kale before for anything? Great, yeah, kale is really good to use. You can use it in salads. We're gonna use it in our smoothie. You'll be able to see little flakes of it, but you really can't taste it. Kale is awesome. It has a lot of nutritional value in it. It's really high in vitamin A and vitamin C. On here for 1/3 of the package here, so it seems like a lot, but it's really not. 1/3 of the package, you'll have 290% of your vitamin A, so it's a lot. And then your vitamin C is 190%. So this is really good to use. So you'll get to try it in the smoothie today, see how you like it. And we only put about 1/4 of a cup in here, because if you put more than that, then you will be able to start to taste it. So I like to rip it up a little bit before I even put it in there. And we'll just guesstimate about 1/4 of a cup here.
And while Carly's doing that, I'm going to go to the next slide. You don't have this, probably can't see this on your handout. But if you don't have a recipe in front of you, you have a lot of stuff in your freezer, or you have fruit that you want to add up, here's just a general rule of thumb. You want to have about 2 cups of leafy greens in your smoothie, and they give some options here: spinach, kale, romaine, bok choy. I've never cooked with that. Swiss chard, collards, or dandelion. That's a different one. 2 cups of your liquid, so water, coconut water, your choice of milk. It doesn't have to be non-dairy. You choose what kind of milk you want. And then 3 cups of your ripe fruit. And then down here at the bottom, kind of hard to see, a boost. It says to boost it. So what we're going to use to boost ours today is some flaxseed, but you could also do some chia seed, coconut oil, almond butter, put in some protein powder, cocoa, cinnamon, depending on what fruits you're adding. So just a general rule of thumb, if you want to just make a smoothie and have it kind of turn out right, sometimes you don't know what to guess when you just mix fruits together. So.
And do you want to talk about the flaxseed a little bit?
Okay, yeah, when we're using flaxseed here, so that's got a lot of your omega-3s, fatty acids, so that's really good for you. We just got ours at Super Saver or Trader Joe's, you can get it. What I also like to use flaxseed for, I don't cook with eggs at home, so this is a good egg replacer when I'm baking. So what you can do is you can take 1 tablespoon of flaxseed to 2 tablespoons of water, put it in a bowl, whisk it up a little bit, and just let it sit for a few minutes. And it gets kind of thick, gels together like an egg would. And then I just pour it in, so that's a way to eliminate the egg. I use that in baking. You can't use that in other forms of cooking, so it works pretty well.
Is that flaxseed already ground then?
This is ground flaxseed, yep.
Because you can't get a lot of nutritional value if it's not ground, is that correct?
Exactly,
Okay.
yep, you can.
All right, I'm going to turn on the blender here for a second. All right, and the recipe calls for ice cubes. I personally don't like to use the ice cubes because I think it kind of waters down the smoothie. I just buy frozen fruit, or you can get fresh fruit and freeze it yourself. And those act as the ice cubes. So I'm going to throw some blueberries in there and some strawberries. And we'll blend that up, and it'll be just about ready here.
Oh, I don't know what that is either.
What is the kefir?
We have all the time, she can't.
Oh, what is it? some fruit in there too.
I think it's known for probiotics, right?
It does have probiotics,
Yep.
yeah, I'll just read it here for you. It's got 14 grams of protein in 1 cup. So it's cultured milk, it says, 1%, so that's good too. We got everything at Trader Joe's today. It's got some strawberry juice in here too, but it's low-fat milk. So it's like a yogurt drink with the benefits of those added probiotics.
And I added some canned pineapple in there. I'm not very skilled with cutting regular fresh pineapple, so I just get the can, make it a little easier. But for canned fruits, or if you get the little to-go cups of fruit, make sure they're either packed in water or the fruit juice itself, not packed in syrup. That's just a lot of extra sugar that you don't need. I mean, the fruit is sweet enough, so just to kind of side note, keep that in mind. So we're almost done here.
So we're gonna make another batch for you too, but we'll get some samples out here for you.
The actual taste itself. Yeah.
Do you remember what she said about taking flaxseed? Was it 1 tablespoon flaxseed and 2
We'll
tablespoons
get,
of water?
we'll get these
Yes.
out to you guys, we have some more.
And that would replace the 8, right? 2 tablespoons? I'm gonna try
Whisked
this.
it.
There's always something else. Yeah, there's something
She's gonna keep making that here. We'll go over the rest of our recipes, get you out of here on time.
I need to do the breakfast one. I'm sticking to
Okay,
mine.
so let's go on to the breakfast grade if you want to turn to that recipe. I'm not going to demonstrate that today, but we have some pictures on the screen so you know how we prepared this here. And I have modified this recipe a lot for you. You can pretty much choose whatever vegetables you want to put in it. So we're going to start with a can of refrigerated pizza dough. I have one here. So just one of these, like the Pillsbury kind, pops open for you. You can get the whole grain. I couldn't find it at Super Saver, the one I went to the other day, but there's the whole grain version. So you can do that. Just spray your 9x13 pan, your baking pan, and pat it out flat, okay? So it fills up the pan like that, and then as you're doing this, you're gonna have a frying pan ready, and that's when we take our eggs and our vegetables. So first we're gonna saute the onion and whatever vegetables you wanna put in. So today what I put in for you was red pepper, mushrooms, spinach, and onions. And I left out any meat, since I don't eat any of that, I don't cook with that. But you're welcome to put any source of protein in there that you like, and it tastes pretty good from what we've heard. So we actually had this cooking class we did this for Union Bank, and they really liked it too. And we had some, I think, sausage or ham or something in there for them. They really liked that too. So you're gonna put in the 2 large eggs, an egg white, get all that with your vegetables, saute that up. And then what we do is, right here, we're gonna sprinkle our cheese. So we're gonna sprinkle it down right in the middle of the dough. And then we're gonna put our vegetables and eggs right on top, kind of in a straight line there. As you see, these apples are laid out. And what we do is we make these little slits on the side, and then we just start to overlap the slits and braid it, okay? And we braid it all the way down, and if you got to see it before everyone took a slice, it kind of looked like the braid up top that you see. And then you just put a little bit of the egg white on top and bake it in the oven. It's really simple. It takes about 20 minutes, 15 minutes to bake, so 5 minutes to get everything prepared. And that's something you can do ahead of time too. I think it's really great for parties because it's really pretty looking before it's all cut and served up. Any questions on the breakfast braid? Since we didn't demonstrate that today. Okay.
So for the zucchini muffins here, this is all what I put in here. The reason we did all-purpose flour and whole wheat flour, the whole wheat help you stay full longer, but also if you use just whole wheat, the muffin doesn't turn out quite as well. So you have to use a little bit of the all-purpose flour. And for the sugar, we use the turbinado raw cane sugar. All it is, it's less processed than the white refined sugar. We got this at Trader Joe's. And we also used just regular ground cinnamon, baking powder, baking soda, salt, the shredded zucchini. We found that 1 1/3 cup is about just one zucchini. So about that size will get you your zucchini that you need.
You're welcome.
And fat-free milk, you can use whatever milk you would like. We use fat-free just to decrease the calories a little bit for you. And then the canola oil and honey, we just added a little bit extra honey for a little bit more flavor. And we can use the egg, and for the bottom, sugar and ground cinnamon, what we did was after we poured made the muffin mix, we just sprinkled a little bit on top of the muffin. So these ones were pretty easy to make. The batter is nice and thick. And this recipe, said it makes about 12. We got, I think, 14 out of it. And then you'll get about 145 calories per muffin. And what I like to do is when I have free time is make a couple batches of muffins and freeze them. So then I can just pull them out every week when I need some more. So this is just a great grab and go muffin. Now our basic muffin, we did the banana nut one. You can see it on one of the handouts there at the very front page. It says basic muffin, and it gives you a whole lot of different options. So you can make these muffins however you want. We just chose the banana nut muffin. However, I followed the recipe pretty exactly, and the batter was very, very thick. It said you can add a little bit more milk, but I decided just to leave it how it was. So they came out kind of like a biscuit would. So they were a little bit more dry and they looked like a biscuit when they came out of the oven. So I would recommend if you do the banana one, add a little bit more milk to thin it out just a little bit. Any questions on either of the muffins, how we made it, anything about those? Okay. And then in that sheet, one of the handouts we gave you, there are a lot of other breakfast options that you can make that we didn't sample for you today.
Yeah, there's a Meet Your Needs handout, the breakfast options with fiber and protein. So that's a good handout for you, some like 11 items for you there. Goes and gives you the calories and carbs and fiber and everything. Some good choices to make.
With all the recipes.
So the recipe handout. Let's see, what else have we tried on here? The granola is also really good on here. We have that. And then the individual breakfast bakes. These are little egg muffins you can make in a muffin tin. So you mix up your egg and vegetable, put them in the muffin tin and bake that. And so you have a little egg to go for the morning when you don't have a lot of time. So that's a good option. Healthy version of a breakfast burrito. Some other types of muffins here for you too. So, you guys have any questions on what we've shared today? Appreciate your time. We just so you know a little bit about our background. We're both personal trainers. We did study fitness and nutrition. We aren't dietitians though, so if you have any questions, we can certainly research something for you a little bit further. If you have specific dietary needs, we can help you with that. We just need to research that a little bit more for you. Any questions?
With these recipes, have you froze them? Do they freeze well or not so much? Or
The
do you
muffins
know
really
how-
do. Muffins freeze
But like
great.
the burritos or the breakfast bakes, do they freeze well?
The bakes do. I haven't made the burrito. I think the tortilla might get kind of tough, so that would be my one concern. But you could go ahead.
Sorry, we make them all the time.
Okay.
Freeze them. We just
yeah.
roll them in tin foil, which I always don't want to put in
Okay.
the freezer or in the microwave. But yeah, if you just put them in for like, even 20 seconds, you're right. The edges of the burrito or the tortilla can get a little
Okay.
rough, but the contents itself.
Right? Good. I've
Because
never
that
made
would
that.
be
So.
easier just to make them freeze.
It's
Then
any
get
way
it
you
out.
throw it in.
Yeah.
And you can also just freeze the filling of the burrito and just have the shell or the wrap on hand. So you don't have to freeze the wrap as well. I think that, I haven't done that, but I feel like that could be a good way so the burrito doesn't get hard on the outside.
Yeah, that's good to know. You've tried that though. You guys have any other ideas you want to share with the group? Things you do for breakfast to save you time? Anything that you make ahead of time? Anything your kids really like?
I just have questions.
Yeah.
So what about the difference between, I didn't hear you talk a lot about potatoes for breakfast.
Sure.
Is that because of the glycemic index on potatoes?
They're a starch. There's not a lot of whole grain in them, but they are very filling too. So in moderation, and that's what we want to really get the point across today, is everything obviously in moderation. So they are starch.
And sweet potatoes are really
Yeah.
good too. They have a little bit more nutrients than the regular, just white potatoes. But yeah, the regular potatoes, they are very filling, so you don't need a whole lot of them. Even though they are the starch, they don't have a whole lot of nutritional value in them. But I mean, they are a good option, and especially if you don't fry them or.
If you bake them. But again, not as much as the nutritional value. It's a carb. A starch it's a carbohydrate. It's kind of like a white one. It's not as whole grain for you as some of the other options.
So the other question I have, and I know you say nutritionally but a lot of people are using coconut oil today to fry their breakfast in or any kind of meal. What do you think about that?
Coconut oil is a good option. Just keep in mind there's a lot of fat in there. Just be really careful and look at if you look how much is in a tablespoon, it's a lot, I think over 100 or more calories, so just be careful with that.
Why are people using it more and more today? Is there a difference in the makeup of the fat or something?
Well, there's a lot of different types of fat.
Okay.
So you have the saturated like